Hey guys, welcome to Clockwork down to Noodles for another breakdown of Spice and Wolf, the remake 2024, episode 11. Thank you for tuning back in. I hope you guys are looking after yourselves. Welcome. I hope you guys have had some time to also look at my big announcement. If not, the big announcement is now pinned to the front page. Go check it out. We have got the summer overview coming up within the week, and I can't wait because it's a very interesting season coming our way. There's some shows that I'm very much looking forward to, some shows that look very interesting, so I can't wait to run through that with you and announce what shows are continuing on the channel. There may be a few decisions made. We'll have to see how that goes, but do tune in for that. And then after that, we're going to have the end of season when everything comes to an end, and I give you guys my top 3. Really can't wait. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on this season and next. Lots of things to look forward to as an anime fan, and the community is buzzing, so lots of things coming our way. Let's get straight to it because this week's episode was interesting. Straight off the bat, the atmosphere was something I picked up on. The vibe was really down. It was uneasy. There was a very nervous atmosphere. You could see everybody was a bit twitchy. It's just a very stressed group because of how much is riding on today's mission. You can see the landscape getting more and more dangerous, so obviously this is why people would avoid this route. This route might be fast, but you can see the dangers. You can see why people would opt for a longer route if it means staying alive. Interesting because the atmosphere this week is something that was really picked up on. Even just small things, you could see where there was tension, and the tension was continuing to build. And even with the guy, the Romario guy, he was acting interesting, and obviously we know why he's acting interesting because of what happens at the end, but there's a lot of atmosphere this week. And the silence before Lawrence gets when he goes down to Pet Hollow, that was the breaking point. That's when your first lot of tension melts away because we go into action of having the first standoff. Nothing really happens this time around, but it's very interesting to see that Hollow and Nora both react at the same time. So Nora definitely has got a very good sense, that good to be alongside Hollow, who we know is a wolf. Nora's reacting pretty much at the same time. It's when Nora says there's something else within the darkness where my ears pricked up a little bit. I was like, oh, there's something else going on here. It naturally tries to give you a little hint that something's coming up. Something big is coming up a little bit later on. As soon as we do end up at the town, things felt a little bit smooth because it was like, oh, we're here already. We're going to go and get that gold and we're going to go back. But I do like the girl team up. So we have Hollow trying to distract her from being very close to the truth because she asks her, do you know a lot about wolves? And obviously she's like, oh, nope, time to panic, time to gang up on Lawrence, have a bit of fun, which I think is quite fun. But it's also overcoming the tension. So at this point, if you were to draw a graph of the tension breaks, you'd have a nice kind of curve up, then it goes down, broken by the wolf stand up. The tension mounts a little bit again because you feel the guy going away and he's like, it's now my turn, and the tension builds again. And then as soon as they start laughing and having a bit of fun, the tension comes back down again. Imagining it as a wavy chart. Good boy, Enoch, I love you. I love the earring as well. I don't want anything happening to my good boy. I love my good boy. My good boy is protective of Nora. He is a good boy. We shall admire a good boy on the channel because we love them so much. There's always a mascot award in the end of season awards that I give out because I give out some fun awards at the end. Always a mascot award, and it's always a good boy, good girl. Always goes to a cat, dog, or just pet or mascot of the show. Maybe Enoch can go on a shortlist for that because he is such a good boy. But the atmosphere starts to change. The gold phase number 1 going way too smoothly, and then the music kicks in. And as soon as the music kicks in, you're like, oh wait, this is the one thing that we haven't really had from the show, is the music. And the music's starting to get really powerful. Made me go, oh, this is it. This is where I think it goes horrifically wrong. But it definitely starts to add the atmosphere. It starts to change. The rain starts to make it darker. Things feel a bit more restricted. I want to say restricted because obviously the path is narrow. It's guided by rocks. It's guided by trees. It feels like we're being shoveled down into a straight line, which makes it feel even more nerve-wracking because you can't go nowhere. You can't run anywhere because if you run into the forest, you're going to die. You can't go up the cliff because there's wolves on top. And the wolf attack is actually really scary. And you know that once upon a time in Europe, back in the day, wolves were a threat. Now, there are no wolves in the UK anymore, but we certainly have the mark of them with towns like Wolverton, Wolverhampton. These are all named because once upon a time, back in the day, we had wolves. And it's very interesting just to see once upon a time, this would have been the real threat that people would have gone up against, people would have panicked against. And we even did the case study of Vanitas, Vanitas as people want to call it, because I got shamed for the way I said it. People in that were terrified of wolves. It was the Wolf of Gavorden. That was really cool. And it's very similar to this, where everyone's panicking because they are a threat, because kids do get eaten, because people do get attacked in their sleep. You can see why people are absolutely terrified of this thing. So people like Nora are praised for having those cool powers, but they're also treated like monsters, like pagan heathens or something, because they've got really ungodly powers. The female voice starting to rise up over the music definitely starts to give you those chills. Somebody did mention Kevin Penkin. I don't remember seeing his name attached to the show, but if it is, much kudos. I love Kevin Penkin's work. My first introduction to him was, of course, Made in Abyss. We broke down the latest season on the channel. That was powerful, very powerful and traumatic with the show, but we had fun. But Kevin Penkin's work, great there. Kevin Penkin is coming back for Tower of God #2. It's coming season. That's another show that I really like. And obviously, as a big manhwa stan, I've watched every single manhwa adaptations. Big Tower of God fan over here. But that is off the topic. So let's get back to Hollow being in command for a little bit. Her yelling at the wolves to go away, which I really like, because you start to see the power that she has. And you start to understand that they're not actually after the sheep, they're after her. And that's when you know something is weird. The moment they exposed the big wolf, the shivers, the silence was just like, what? Because up until this point, I just expected Hollow to be the only giant wolf in the area. I didn't expect them to be another one. So seeing the big wolf again was like, what the hell is going on? It was crazy. I wasn't expecting that starting point of the spiral into hell, but the wolf itself was absolutely crazy. And obviously it made sense that Hollow had to go talk to it, had to go fight it, because she is the only one who really had any chance. It felt really bad, them splitting up, but it also felt like splitting up was a wise decision, especially if they were surrounded, because it would give them more chances to escape. However, I didn't realize that the guy who was pressing Nora to go forward was doing it a bit too heavily. I'm just angry. I wish I'd have seen the signs that he had betrayed them, but I guess the signs were actually in the last episode, where as soon as they leave the building, he calls them up to talk to them, and giving you a few hints that maybe that talk didn't go to his liking. So sad by what happens in the next half. So the second half is just horrible, because I knew it went too smooth. You know it's going to go wrong. You know things aren't going to line up nicely. The wolf section, the wolves versus the wolves, it does feel a little bit similar to Parallels. Now, some stories are very clever, where they'll have main plot points, main themes that will continue through, but they sometimes are echoed main side plots or anything. Now, this does feel a little bit mirrory, because the uprising against the elder, as she puts it, this youngster's uprising against her, has no respect for her. It feels like Yari, and Yari wanted to uprise against tradition, well, everything. He wanted to make his own money. He wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the pagan traditions and going forward with almost capitalism. It feels like there's a nice mirroring of this, that the youngsters aren't learning. They're going against tradition. They're going against the older wolf, who knows what she's doing, who is a deity in her own right, and this guy's trying to take over. So there is very clever writing this week, which I really appreciate. Them splitting up from Lawrence, I felt really sad, and it just continues, because Lawrence then gets surrounded and in trouble, and immediately you know he's in trouble, because they look at him, they keep sizing him up, and then they suddenly take him off the path, and then you're like, oh no, this is going to go wrong. And I was like, is he going to get jumped? It's worse than that. It's even worse. He's been set up. He's been betrayed. Everything they have done has been for nothing. Him letting Hollow go and making a brave decision is for nothing as well. That then reminds you of why the guy was like, oh, we've got to go. Their deaths will be meaningless if we stay here. And then she's like, and Nora's even like, wait, what do you mean deaths? And he's like, oh no, they're great decision, their brave decision. And you can see he's really trying to make up anything to get moving. Obviously he's got the weight of his entire guild on him, but it just makes you angry, because he knew what they were doing. If they have just suddenly saved his trading post, it's come at the point where you've killed these guys off. You're going to kill them either way. You're going to sentence them to a life of hard labor, or just kill them off in the forest. And it's horrible. And seeing him just laying there left for dead is just very, very painful, because you're like, Hollow is busy right now. Hollow can't come to save you. And they are threatening Nora. They actually are planning to kill Nora as well. And the only reason they don't kill him at the end is because they think the wolves are going to come back and eat him. They might if Hollow loses, but I don't see her losing. But I can see her coming out of it wounded. I can definitely see her coming out of it, because she's actually surrounded. I don't know if those wolves are going to sit and just watch the other wolf get beaten up. And I don't think she's going to get back in time to help Lawrence or Nora. I think something really bad's going to happen. And I don't want it to be my boy Enick dying or anything, because that would make me really sad. But it's a very sad cliffhanger ending. And next week is still a long way away, because we've only just had today's episode drop. So I just on the edge of my seats. I don't feel dumb this week, but I think the last few episodes I've been feeling really, really dumb. This week I think I've got the gist of this week's episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm very nervous. I think something really bad is going to happen. I've just got this feeling that I can't shake. Can't wait to see the resolve. Hopefully once this section is resolved, and we'll go into episode 13. That will mark the second half, the where you'd normally get a season 2, but this is continuing all the way through to do 25 episodes for season 1, which I like. It's old-fashioned style, and I'm presuming the original anime ran 25 episodes per season, which is great, because back in the day, that's how a season used to be. 12-episode thing now, that has kind of come out the modern anime, that's just new. So it's nice to see this one as traditional anime with the longer season. I think it deserves the longer season. The pacing is great. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for the support. Bye, guys.